chosen one. Stop for a moment. Don't rush. Don't scroll past this, because this message has been written into your timeline by divine appointment. You are not here by chance. You are here because heaven planned this exact second for your spirit to awaken. What feels like coincidence is actually confirmation you are being called higher. You have walked through seasons that tried to break you, endured storms that should have ended you, yet here you are, still breathing, still standing, still chosen. Every setback, every betrayal, every silent night of prayer was a thread in heaven's tapestry, weaving purpose out of pain. You didn't miss your destiny, you were being prepared for it. Listen carefully, and you are not forgotten. You were hidden intentionally. The reason doors seemed closed was because God was protecting you from rooms that could have ruined your spirit. The delay was never denial. It was divine defense. Now, the stirring you feel inside your chest is not anxiety, it's awakening. Something sacred within you remembers its divine origin. Heaven is announcing a shift, it's your time. The warfare around you intensified because the enemy saw what you were becoming before you did. But what he tried to break, God used to build. Chosen one. Heaven is not asking you to strive harder. Heaven is asking you to believe deeper, to understand that even in silence, God has been working behind the curtain. You were never alone, not for a second. The pain that humbled you became the portal that heaven's glory will now flow through. There were moments when you questioned if your prayers mattered, when your faith trembled under the weight of waiting. But those tears became language before God's throne. Every whisper of your heart reached him, and not one has been forgotten. The silence was never absence. It was sacred construction in progress. Heaven watched as you continued walking despite fear, as you chose forgiveness over bitterness, as you sowed kindness even when unseen. That quiet obedience has become fragrance before the throne. The very faithfulness you thought was overlooked has built a foundation strong enough to carry the weight of your coming glory. Now, destiny begins to unfold. The seasons of obscurity were classrooms of wisdom. The nights of pain were rehearsals for triumph. You are about to see why nothing made sense before, because everything was aligning for a greater unveiling. Heaven is ready. All that's left is your yes. We are reminded through the writings of David in the book of Psalms. Chapter 30, verse 5, "Weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning." Hold that in your heart. Your night season is ending. The morning of restoration is breaking through. The very tears that soaked your pillow are now watering the seeds of your next harvest. You are not at the end. You are at the turning point. Heaven is whispering to your spirit, "Be still, beloved." The tide is turning in your favor. Every force that opposed you is losing its hold. Every delay is collapsing under divine acceleration. The atmosphere around you is shifting, and what once resisted you will soon release you. You may not see the full picture yet, but trust that the author of your destiny writes only in victory. Your purpose was not canceled, it was maturing in secret. This is the moment everything begins to align. The pieces that once felt scattered are falling into divine order. And as you read these words, something in your soul is saying, "This is for me." That's because it is. This message has been sent from heaven's heart directly to yours. The same spirit that inspired these words is breathing upon your life right now, igniting new strength, new clarity, new courage. So rise, chosen one. Walk out of fear. Step into obedience. You have been prepared for this moment, and heaven is waiting for your yes. Your story is about to become a testimony that unlocks hope for others. If this resonates with your spirit, like, share, and comment below to declare I receive my morning of joy. Then subscribe so you remain connected to every prophetic message heaven releases through this channel. You are not behind. You are perfectly aligned. Heaven's timing is flawless and it has brought you here. Comment the number 777 below as a prophetic sign of divine timing fulfilled. You didn't stumble here by mistake. Chosen one. This is the continuation of the whisper heaven began within you. The moment you said yes to destiny, the atmosphere around you started to shift. What felt like stillness was actually movement beneath the surface. Heaven was preparing the foundation before unveiling the structure. You've been through seasons where it seemed as if nothing was happening when doors stayed shut. Prayers went unanswered, and people you loved drifted away without explanation. You questioned your worth, your calling, your purpose. Yet through every unanswered question, God was still speaking. You just didn't recognize His language yet. For the chosen, silence is never punishment. It is preparation. The hidden years you've endured were sacred classrooms where heaven taught you discernment, patience, and faith that does not depend on visible evidence. Every delay, every detour, every disappointment was molding your heart to hold what is coming. There were moments when you felt forgotten, overlooked, or invisible. But invisibility is never rejection, it's incubation. Seeds grow in the dark before they rise into light. Heaven has been cultivating strength within you, teaching you to trust what you cannot see, and anchoring your faith deeper than emotion. If you look back, you'll realize it was in your lowest seasons that you grew the most. You learned to pray without proof. You learned to keep going without applause. You discovered that even when the world went silent, the presence of God was still enough. That is spiritual maturity, believing even when you cannot feel. The pain you endured was never wasted. Heaven is efficient. Nothing in your story is useless. Every wound carries wisdom. Every scar carries instruction. Every closed door carries protection. You are being built for something eternal, and eternal things take time. The Spirit spoke through the prophet Jeremiah, chapter 29, verse 11. For I know the plans I have for you, plans to prosper, to give you hope. Hold that truth close to your heart. God has not lost the map of your destiny. What feels like wandering is divine navigation. You are being guided through detours that protect you from unseen danger. The waiting is not punishment, it's positioning. Heaven is aligning you with people, places, and opportunities that match your purpose. Chosen one. Understand this divine preparation often looks like delay to human eyes. When nothing seems to move, that's usually when heaven is moving the most. Behind closed doors, alignments are forming, conversations are happening, and opportunities are being prepared in your absence. You may not see it yet, but soon you will walk straight into what was made for you. Don't despise small beginnings. Even now, subtle shifts are occurring. What you call little progress is actually major progress in the spirit. You are becoming someone who can carry the promise without collapsing under the weight of it. Maturity must precede manifestation. God cannot release destiny to a heart that still fears the process. Your private prayers have been heard, and your private pain has been noticed. Heaven is deliberate, He never wastes faith. Every time you trusted Him when you couldn't trace Him, you wrote history in the unseen realm. Those quiet victories, those moments when you kept believing even while bleeding are what mark you as chosen. Now, the season of hiddenness is drawing to a close. You have been refined in silence, but the world is about to see what heaven has been shaping. The pressure you feel is the signal that birth is near. Something inside you is ready to emerge. You are stepping from preparation into activation. Chosen one, Don't rush the unfolding. Let patience complete its work. The same God who authored your calling knows the right moment for your unveiling. There is divine order to every chapter of your story. Nothing has been wasted, and nothing will be lost. Even when others misunderstood your path, even when they doubted your worth, heaven kept watching. You are still on schedule. The time of waiting was the time of strengthening. You are being trusted with revelation that not everyone could handle. That's why you were separated, not rejected, but refined. You are the evidence that God's promises do not expire. The pain of yesterday is becoming the power of tomorrow. The lessons of obscurity are turning into wisdom for influence. Soon, those who once questioned your silence will witness your sound, a sound that carries healing, authority, and divine confidence. So rest in assurance. The one who began a good work in you will finish it in perfect timing. Your life is not delayed, it's deliberate. Everything you lost will return multiplied. Every waiting season will reveal its purpose. And every prayer you whispered in tears will soon echo in testimony. Heaven has not forgotten what it promised you. It has only been preparing you to receive it. Chosen one, you have carried more than most will ever know. You've smiled through storms that nearly drowned you. You've shown strength when your heart felt like breaking. And though the world saw only your calm surface, heaven saw every silent battle beneath it. You were never invisible to God. Heaven took record of every struggle, every tear, every moment you chose faith over fear. You may not realize it, but your endurance has been prophetic. The way you kept walking through pain was a declaration to the unseen realm that your purpose cannot be stopped. Every time you refused to give up, the kingdom of darkness trembled. Because you, chosen one, are not just surviving, you are becoming. There were seasons when you asked, "Why me? Why must I carry so much?" But the truth is, only those trusted by heaven are allowed to carry the weight of transformation. You were chosen to feel deeply, to break generational patterns, to heal wounds that didn't begin with you but will end with you. That's why your life has felt like warfare. It is. As Jesus himself declared in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 11, verse 28, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." Those words are for you right now. You've carried the weight long enough. Heaven is calling you to rest, not to quit, but to rest in divine assurance. Rest means trusting that God is still working while you recover. It means releasing the illusion that everything depends on you. You were never meant to do this alone. You've been trying to hold your world together, but heaven whispers, "Let me." The moment you surrender control, grace will flow freely again. You do not need to have every answer. You only need to stay available. When you rest in obedience, strength begins to return, and clarity follows. Chosen one, you've walked through valleys that stripped you of illusions. You've seen people change, promises fade, and seasons end. But through it all, one truth remains unshaken: God has never left you. He has been beside you in every battle, even when you couldn't feel him. The silence you endured was not absence, it was strategy. Heaven sometimes hides its hand to strengthen your faith. When nothing made sense, faith was being forged in the fire. That faith, raw, real, unfiltered, is what makes you unstoppable now. You have learned how to stand when everything around you falls. You have learned that your survival is not luck, it's destiny. You may not know it, but there's a new fire rising in you. The same battles that once broke you will now bow before you. The same weakness that once shamed you is becoming your testimony. You are being transformed from wounded to warrior, and those who once doubted you will soon witness the radiance of your resurrection. Heaven is positioning you for impact. What's coming next will require your full heart, but not your old fears. This is a new chapter, a chapter where your voice matters, your story heals, and your light leads. You are no longer the person who entered the valley. You are the one emerging with power. Now listen carefully. There's a reason this message found you today. Heaven knew that your spirit needed this reminder before you stepped into what's next. You are being realigned. Everything that once drained you is losing access to you. And in its place, peace and clarity are being restored. So before this moment ends, do something prophetic. Declare your agreement aloud and seal it in faith. Comment, "I rise," not as an empty phrase, but as a spiritual declaration. When you type those two words, you are not just commenting, you are prophesying to your future. You are telling heaven that you accept the call, that you refuse to stay where pain left you. I rise means resurrection power is reclaiming your story. You rise from doubt. You rise from fear. You rise from the ashes of everything that tried to bury you. Because what God placed within you cannot die, it can only transform. The waiting season ends when you declare it so. Heaven responds to faith spoken aloud, and this act of agreement unlocks what silence has delayed. Chosen one, lift your head. Breathe deeply. Feel the shift within you. This is your turning point, the moment where everything begins to make sense. What once wounded you is now wisdom. What once felt like loss is now leverage. You are not defined by what broke you, you are defined by who rebuilt you. The world will see your strength, but heaven knows your surrender. And that surrender is what makes you unstoppable. You are not here to repeat old pain. You are here to rewrite history with grace, courage, and fire. Chosen one. You are standing at a sacred threshold, the space between what has been and what is about to unfold. The air around your life feels heavy because heaven is rearranging things unseen. There's movement in the spirit even when everything around you appears still. You are not losing stability. You are being shifted into divine position. For too long, you've wondered why doors closed without reason, why people changed without explanation, and why opportunities slipped from your grasp at the last moment. But this is not punishment. It's preservation. Heaven closes doors that would lead you into distraction. The pruning you've endured is proof that God intends fruitfulness, not failure. You are being called to release control. For years, you tried to plan your way through uncertainty, thinking that safety came from structure. But heaven is teaching you that true security comes from surrender. What you thought was falling apart is actually falling into place. The chaos you feel is not the end, it's reordering. There are times when destiny demands disruption, when comfort begins to cage you. Divine hands shake the foundation so that your faith can stretch again. This is one of those moments. You have outgrown the place where you once found peace. The pain you feel is the signal that expansion has begun. The weight of transformation is rarely gentle. You are being pulled out of what is familiar so that you can step into what is promised. The transition is uncomfortable because the old version of you cannot walk into the next chapter. Your heart senses it even if your mind struggles to understand it. The prophet Elijah spoke as recorded in the first book of Kings, chapter 19, verse 12. And after the earthquake came a fire, but the Lord was not in the fire. And after the fire came a gentle whisper. That whisper is where heaven now meets you. It will not come through noise or chaos, but through stillness. You've been searching for answers in the storm, but the storm was designed to clear the way for the voice of God. He speaks in gentleness because his words carry peace that cannot be shaken. So listen. The noise around you may be loud, But the instruction of heaven is clear: be still and discern the whisper. In that quiet place, clarity will come. You will know which step to take, which connection to release, which battle to walk away from. This is not the time to fight for what is fading. It's the time to protect what is forming. Chosen one, what you are sensing now is the divine rearrangement of priorities. What once consumed you no longer fits your spirit. The things that used to excite you now feel hollow because heaven is awakening you to deeper desires. You are shifting from survival to purpose, from reaction to revelation. This inner stirring is not confusion, it's confirmation. It's the signal that your spirit recognizes what your eyes cannot yet see. Something greater is coming, and your preparation is internal. The breakthrough you expect externally begins with alignment within. It's easy to mistake restlessness for failure, but it's actually prophecy. Your discomfort is not punishment, it's divine acceleration. Heaven is pulling you forward, stretching your capacity for faith, preparing you to hold more than you thought possible. You are being transformed into someone who no longer needs proof to believe. Faith is becoming your reflex, but you are learning that peace is not found in the absence of storms, but in the awareness of presence. God has never left your side, not when you doubted, not when you wept, not when you thought you'd lost everything. The whisper has been there all along, waiting for you to slow down and listen. Chosen one, your life is entering divine order. What once confused you will soon make sense. The people who left made room for those assigned to your next chapter. The resources that seemed delayed are being multiplied in silence. Heaven's timeline is unfolding perfectly, even if your earthly eyes cannot yet perceive it. In this season, trust the rhythm of grace. You don't have to force anything that's meant for you. What's divine will find its way always. Heaven is more committed to your destiny than you are, and what is yours cannot be taken, only prepared. Your responsibility now is to remain surrendered, alert, and grateful. Gratitude is the key that unlocks peace in the middle of transition. When you thank God even without understanding, you announce your trust in His character, not just His plan. So breathe deeply. Let go of what was. Make room for what's next. Heaven is not asking you to figure it out. Heaven is asking you to stay aligned. You are being guided step by step, and soon, you'll look back and see that every delay, every loss, every redirection was divine orchestration. You are not lost, you are led. And the whisper that calls your name is proof that heaven is near. Chosen one, you have reached the turning point of your journey. The path behind you glows faintly with the light of lessons learned, the ashes of what once was now shining like embers of wisdom. You've come far, further than your fears ever believed possible. Heaven watched every step, even when you thought you were walking alone. You are like a seed that has endured the weight of soil pressing against it, waiting for the warmth of light. The darkness around you was never meant to bury you, it was meant to plant you. Every hidden season, every unseen effort, every prayer whispered into the silence has been the underground miracle that prepared your bloom. Now, the soil begins to shift. The earth that once covered you is giving way to sunlight. Something divine is sprouting, and that something is you. You are stepping out of obscurity into visibility, not for fame, but for purpose. Heaven doesn't raise flowers to decorate. Heaven raises gardens to heal nations. But hear this. Chosen one, what is growing within you will need nourishment. Just as a seed requires water and sunlight, your calling requires connection and community. The light you carry shines brighter when it joins others who burn with the same divine fire. You were never meant to carry this alone. As the apostle reminds us in his letter to the Galatians chapter 6, verse 9, Let us not grow weary in doing good, for in due season we shall reap, if we do not give up. Those words are your confirmation. Every act of goodness you've given, every prayer, every moment you've encouraged another while you yourself were hurting has been noticed by heaven. Your harvest is forming. But remember, even harvest fields need tending. They thrive when many hands work together. This space you found, this sacred flow of words, is more than content. It is a living well. Every message released here is water drawn from heaven's river. When you drink from it, peace returns to your heart, faith strengthens your bones, and purpose whispers again. And just like any well, when hearts contribute together, the flow deepens, the reach widens, and more souls can drink freely. So, as you continue to grow in light and strength, consider how your presence sustains this flow. When you like, you reflect gratitude. It tells heaven, "This word reached me." When you share, you become a messenger carrying light to those still sitting in shadow. When you subscribe, you are not just following. You are stepping into fellowship, saying, "I choose to stay near the fire." And if your spirit feels moved, if this message has watered your heart, consider sowing into this garden through a donation, not as a transaction, but as a seed of faith. Think of it as planting a tree whose shade will one day comfort someone else. Every offering, great or small, keeps the flame burning, keeps the voice of heaven echoing, keeps hope alive in hearts across the earth. Chosen one, generosity is not measured by amount but by alignment. What you sow into the divine returns multiplied peace for anxiety, clarity for confusion, provision for lack. When you give, you partner with heaven's current, helping this river reach further than one voice ever could. Picture it: each like is a spark, each share is a ripple, each gift a stream feeding the flow. Together they form a current of light that travels beyond borders, languages and screens, touching hearts that you may never meet but whom heaven loves deeply. This is how revival spreads, not by force but by flow. One obedient heart at a time. One light passed to another until the darkness begins to fade. So if this message resonates with you, pause and reflect on the journey you've walked. You have been planted, watered, refined, and now you bloom. What you do next determines how far your fragrance travels. The kingdom expands through hands that open, not hold back. Remember, your faith is not only for receiving, it's for releasing. The same grace that reached you through this message can flow through you to others. When you share, you participate in the miracle. When you give, you make space for heaven to give through you. When you stay connected, you allow the roots of community to intertwine beneath the soil of purpose. Chosen one, this is not pressure, it's invitation. The world is thirsty, and heaven has trusted you to carry water. Let your light flow outward. Let your faith express itself in action. And as you do, watch what happens. Peace will multiply, provision will follow, and joy will overflow like rivers after rain. You are not merely a listener, you are a co-laborer with heaven. And through your kindness, your sharing, your giving, your staying, you keep the flame alive. Your story is a light. Let it shine. Chosen one, there are moments in life when heaven pauses and all of creation seems to hold its breath. Moments like this one. You've stepped into a sacred intersection between promise and fulfillment, between the prayers you once whispered and the answers now rising like dawn on the horizon. But before new doors open, there is always a final test, the moment when faith must speak louder than sight. You've come too far to turn back now. Heaven has invested too much in your becoming to let you settle for halfway. The pressure you feel is not punishment, it's preparation for promotion. Many around you cannot see what's happening in the unseen realm, but your spirit knows. You can feel the shifting, the stirring, the invisible alignment taking shape. You sense that something massive is approaching, yet you cannot name it. That tension is holy. Heaven stretches you so that when breakthrough arrives, you have room to carry it. Chosen one, you have already passed tests that broke others. You stood when quitting felt easier. You kept your integrity when compromise would have been rewarded. You forgave when bitterness seemed justified. Those moments did not go unnoticed. The unseen obedience you gave in secret is about to produce visible favor in public. Heaven speaks clearly through the words in Deuteronomy chapter 31, verse 6. Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or terrified, for the Lord your God goes with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you. That is your anchor. Strength is not found in how loud you roar, but in how deeply you trust. Courage is not the absence of fear, but the decision to move forward despite it. And the assurance that God walks beside you makes retreat impossible. You are never alone, not in this battle, not in this transition, not in this awakening. Chosen one, this is the hour where you will see why everything had to happen the way it did. The pain you endured was the pruning of potential. The losses you mourned were the clearing of space for divine appointment. You are not being punished. You are being prepared to stand in places your name has not yet entered. The mantle on your life demands maturity. You cannot carry new authority with old attitudes. This season requires you to think as one who governs light, not merely survives darkness. Heaven is teaching you to command peace, to speak life, to walk with quiet confidence even when the path ahead is dim. Your faith is being refined to purity. No more half-belief, no more divided loyalty between what heaven promised and what fear predicts. You are being invited into unshakable trust, a trust that doesn't waver when doors close, a trust that worships before the miracle, a trust that sees divine fingerprints in what others call coincidence. Chosen one, there will be moments when the road narrows, when friends fade, when applause turns into silence. Don't be discouraged. Isolation is the incubator of revelation. When heaven pulls you apart, it's not rejection, it's refinement. Every prophet, every pioneer, every light bearer walks alone before they lead others into dawn. And when your heart feels tired, remember, destiny always asks for the last bit of strength before manifestation. Just like a runner sees the finish line but feels the heaviest weight at the final stretch. You too are nearing completion. Don't misinterpret exhaustion as defeat. It's the signal that fulfillment is near. Now, chosen one, heaven asks for one prophetic act, something simple yet powerful. As a sign of your alignment, of your readiness to walk without fear and to trust completely in divine timing. Comment the number 888 below. 8 is the number of new beginnings. And 3 8s declare divine completeness in transition, body, soul, and spirit stepping into perfect alignment with heaven's plan. When you type it, let it be more than digits. Let it be your declaration: I step into my new beginning. This is not ritual, it is resonance. Heaven responds to faith expressed through obedience. You are marking your life as yielded ground fertile for miracles. Open to divine flow, ready to carry glory without hesitation. Your next chapter is written in light. The waiting season is closing, and the revealing season has begun. The strength you forged in secret is now your crown, and the peace you learned to protect is your armor. You are not entering a new phase of striving, you are stepping into divine ease. Heaven will go before you, making crooked paths straight and opening doors no man can shut. Chosen one, breathe deeply. You've made it to the edge of breakthrough. Lift your eyes, for the horizon is glowing with promise. Everything heaven spoke is still alive and it's unfolding now. Comment 8888 below to declare your readiness for new beginnings. Chosen one. Darkness never attacks where there is no light. The resistance you faced is not proof of weakness, it is proof of radiance. What has been pressing against you is the shadow that forms when your spirit begins to shine brighter than before. The warfare around you is not random, it is a reaction to your awakening. Every chosen vessel carries a glow that terrifies the unseen. It's not your appearance, not your words, but your very presence that disturbs what hides in darkness. The moment you decided to walk in truth, falsehoods began to expose themselves. The moment you chose obedience, chaos began to unravel. You are not cursed. You are catalytic. Understand this spiritual resistance always intensifies when destiny draws near. The enemy senses the shift before you fully step into it. That's why old fears resurface, old temptations whisper again, and unexpected obstacles appear out of nowhere. But don't let that alarm you. It's confirmation that you're moving in the right direction. There is an ancient pattern heaven has shown since the beginning. Before breakthrough comes the testing of endurance. Before light expands, it wrestles the shadows. You, chosen one, are standing in that sacred tension. And even though your heart may tremble, your spirit remembers victory. For inside you burns the breath of the Almighty, and no darkness can extinguish what heaven has ignited. As was spoken in the sacred texts of Ephesians, chapter 6, verse 12. For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against rulers, against authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms. This truth explains everything. The battle has never been about people. It's about atmosphere. The enemy uses situations, misunderstandings, and emotional triggers to distract you from the real war, the one happening in the unseen. You are not fighting humans, you are confronting energy, deception, and fear that cannot coexist with the light within you. So how do you stand? By remembering that light doesn't fight darkness, it simply shines. You don't need to argue, defend, or retaliate. The way you win is by staying illuminated. Every time you choose peace over reaction, you declare victory. Every time you pray instead of panic, you shift the entire environment. Your silence in the midst of attack is not weakness, it's wisdom. Even Jesus remained silent before those who sought to destroy him, because he understood that authority doesn't shout, it commands. Heaven has been training you to walk in quiet confidence, to carry fire wrapped in calm, to respond to conflict with serenity that confuses the adversary. Chosen one. The enemy has been trying to convince you that your warfare means you've done something wrong. But it's the opposite, you've done something right. Hell does not waste energy on the lukewarm. You carry an assignment that disrupts demonic agendas. So the opposition surrounding you is not punishment, it's prophecy. When the nights feel longest, when confusion clouds your thoughts, remember this light is not fragile. It cannot be overcome. Even the smallest flame defies an ocean of darkness. You are that flame, unquenchable, relentless, holy. The darkness may surround, but it cannot invade. You are sealed, marked, and protected. There's a reason you survived what others couldn't. The grace upon you is both shield and sword. The spirit within you is not passive, it's fierce, radiant, and unafraid. You were never meant to run from darkness. You were born to expose it, and the exposure you bring is not by argument, but by existence. You are walking proof that God's light still dwells in flesh, that divine love can occupy human fragility and transform it into strength. You've become a mirror reflecting heaven to a weary world. And though you may feel small at times, remember stars look small only because they are far away, not because they lack brilliance. Heaven is proud of how you've endured. You could have retaliated, but you chose grace. You could have hidden, but you stood your ground. You could have surrendered, but you kept shining. Every act of faith you've made has become a sword in the Spirit's hand. Soon, you'll see the fruit of your resilience. The same opposition that once intimidated you will crumble under the weight of your peace. The same places that felt cursed will become testimonies of restoration. The same enemies who plotted your downfall will witness your rise and be left in silence. Chosen one, keep your lamp burning. The night may still seem long, but dawn is near. The darkness around you is not growing, it's gasping. You have already won in realms unseen. Hold your ground, hold your peace, hold your light. You were never fighting for victory, you were fighting from victory. And now, stand tall. The shadow is thinning. Heaven is near. Chosen one. The fires you walked through were never meant to destroy you, they were meant to define you. What once looked like loss was actually purification. Heaven allows certain flames not as punishment but as preparation. Because gold is never shaped in comfort, it is refined in heat. And though you cried in the process, something holy was forming within you. You've emerged from seasons that stripped away everything false security, false friendships, false confidence built on fragile foundations. The shaking wasn't cruelty, it was cleansing. Heaven removed what couldn't stand so that what's eternal could remain. Every betrayal became a chisel in the potter's hand. Carving out the depth your purpose required, it hurt. Yes. There were nights you thought, this fire will finish me, but even as flames rose around you, something unexplainable kept you standing. That something was grace unseen but unbreakable. The same grace that led Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego through Babylon's furnace now lives inside you. The same protection that covered Daniel in the lion's den has surrounded you in your trial. You have been preserved because purpose still demands your presence. You are stronger than you realize. The fire that frightened you actually revealed the strength you forgot you had. It showed you that faith isn't proven in comfort, it's proven in confrontation. And now, when you look back, you'll see that what tried to consume you actually cleansed you. The Word of God declares in the book of Isaiah, chapter 43, verse 2, "When you walk through the fire, you will not be burned. The flames will not set you ablaze." Those words are not metaphor, they are reality. The reason you survived the flames is because the fire could not touch what heaven has sealed. You are living evidence that divine protection is stronger than any earthly trial. Every scar tells the story of a battle that didn't break you. You are not burned. You are branded with purpose, with promise, with destiny. Chosen one. You are learning to see fire differently now. The furnace that once felt like punishment now feels like transformation. You no longer fear it, because you recognize what it produces. Fire purifies gold, but it also separates imitation from authenticity. And you, beloved, are authentic. There's no counterfeit strength in you. Everything that remains has been tested and proven. Every hardship you faced was heaven's workshop refining your spirit. The arguments that drained you were training you to speak with wisdom. The losses that crushed you were teaching you detachment. The confusion that clouded your path was shaping discernment. You were not merely enduring pain, you were being trained in divine resilience. There's a kind of glory that only comes through suffering, a depth of compassion born from walking through fire and surviving. You now carry that depth. It's in your voice when you comfort others, in your presence when you walk into a room, in your prayers that move heaven because they come from lived experience. The pain that once silenced you has become a ministry without words. Chosen one. Don't despise the refining season. They stripped away what could never carry the weight of your calling. You have been pruned to produce fruit that will last. The version of you that is emerging from the ashes is purer, wiser, and far more dangerous to darkness than before. Remember this: heaven never wastes pain. Every flame has purpose. Every loss carries instruction. And every tear has watered a seed that will soon rise in beauty. The fire did not reduce you, it revealed you. You are like a sword fresh from the forge, tempered by heat, cooled by grace, sharpened through experience. You are both gentle and powerful, both broken and healed, both humbled and crowned. What once wounded you has now become the source of your anointing. People will look at you and wonder how you survived. They will sense something unexplainable, something radiant. That radiance is refinement, the glow that only comes after fire. You will speak with calm authority because you've seen storms and survived. You will walk with quiet strength because you know who walks with you. The refining process has also taught you to recognize the difference between destruction and development. You no longer curse what shakes you. You discern what it's birthing. You understand that divine fire burns away only what can't stay, and so you let it work freely, knowing that what emerges afterward is unshakable. Chosen one, look at yourself now, still standing, still glowing, still faithful. The flames that once threatened to consume you now kneel before your endurance. You have become the embodiment of grace under fire. Heaven smiles over you. The Father whispers, "Well done, beloved. You trusted me in the furnace, and now you carry my fire. You are not merely refined, you are radiant. And soon, that radiance will illuminate others still trapped in the flames you conquered. Chosen one, something within you has been stirring quietly, steadily, unmistakably. You can feel it beneath your skin, in the rhythm of your breath, in the sudden awareness that the world around you is shifting even if nothing looks different on the surface. This is what it feels like when heaven begins awakening your spiritual senses. For so long, you lived with only glimpses, intuition you couldn't explain, discernment that came out of nowhere, dreams that felt too vivid to ignore. You brushed them aside, assuming they were coincidences or imagination. But they were not. They were signals. Heaven has been calling your spirit to attention, preparing you for the moment when the veil would thin and the unseen would become undeniable. This is that moment. You are stepping into a season where your spiritual awareness heightens. You'll notice things others overlook. You'll feel things before they happen. You'll sense shifts in the atmosphere in ways that defy logic. Not because you're overly emotional, but because you are spiritually tuned. Heaven is sharpening your perception like an instrument being fine-tuned for a divine performance. There were seasons when you felt spiritually numb, when prayer felt heavy, when worship felt distant, when your heart was too tired to feel anything at all. But numbness is not death, it is hibernation. Even seeds appear lifeless beneath the soil before they break open with new life. The numbness you felt was preparation for awakening. The ancient words recorded in Romans chapter 13, verse 11 declare, "The hour has come for you to wake up from your slumber, for salvation is nearer now." Chosen one, you have always been different. Even when you tried to fit in, something inside resisted. You noticed subtle shifts others ignored. You picked up on emotions unspoken. You sensed danger before it manifested. You recognized truth even when no one else could see it. You were labeled too sensitive, too intense, too deep. But what they misunderstood was actually your gift in disguise. That gift is awakening now. You are learning to walk with spiritual eyes open, seeing beyond faces, beyond words, beyond appearances. Discernment is becoming your shield. Revelation is becoming your compass. And intuition is no longer a random feeling, it is divine communication. Heaven is increasing your awareness because new assignments require new vision. You cannot fight battles you can't see. You cannot step into opportunities you cannot discern. You cannot walk through doors if you don't recognize they've opened. There will be moments in this season when you feel a sudden heaviness entering a room, not depression, but spiritual warning. Moments when you feel unexpected peace wash over you, not coincidence, but confirmation. Moments when you sense someone's true intentions, not judgment, but clarity. Do not fear this awakening. Do not doubt it. Do not shrink back from it. Spiritual sight is not a burden, it is protection. It is preparation. It is promise. Chosen one, heaven is teaching you to trust what your spirit knows even when your mind hesitates. Logic can guide your steps, but revelation will guide your destiny. And you are being trained to carry both with grace. You'll begin noticing connections in Scripture that you never saw before. Words you've read 100 times will suddenly speak new life. Passages will illuminate your path like lanterns in the dark. God's voice will grow clearer, His nudges stronger, His presence more tangible. This is the beauty of awakening, not loud, not dramatic, but steady, deep, undeniable. But now heaven invites you to seal this moment, not for entertainment, but as an act of alignment, a declaration that you recognize the stirring within your spirit, a sign that you are ready to walk in deeper awareness. Comment, "I awaken." Just 2 words, but in the spirit they are a roar. When you type them, you are not simply responding, you are agreeing with heaven. You are declaring that the days of spiritual sleep are over. You are announcing to the unseen realm, "I refuse to walk blind when God has opened my eyes. I refuse to ignore what heaven reveals. I refuse to dim my gift to make others comfortable." I awaken is both promise and prophecy, a commitment to live with eyes open, heart tuned, and spirit sensitive to the whisper of God. Chosen one, this is your season of revelation. What was hidden will be unveiled. What was confusing will become clear. What was silent will begin to speak. Heaven is awakening the prophet within you, not to exalt you, but to equip you. Walk forward with confidence. Something holy has begun. And once the Spirit awakens, it never sleeps again. Chosen one, you can feel it, a gentle but persistent pull inside you, calling you out of hiding. For years you blended into the background, dimming your own light to keep the peace, shrinking your voice so others wouldn't feel threatened. You convinced yourself that silence was humility, that invisibility was safety. But deep down, your spirit always knew you were never meant to stay small. This is the moment heaven has been preparing you for, the moment you step out of the shadows and into the purpose that has been waiting for you. The call has been echoing quietly, but now it grows louder. You are being summoned into visibility, not for attention, but for assignment. Your voice carries healing. Your story carries deliverance. Your presence carries an atmosphere that shifts rooms. You are like a lighthouse built in secret. For years, you stood on the coastline of your destiny, unseen, uncelebrated, unnoticed. But now the storms are rising, and the world needs your light. Not a whisper of light, a beacon. What you carry is not small. It is not fragile. It is not accidental. It is heaven-constructed strength wrapped in human skin. And when God calls you forward, He equips you with everything needed for the journey. As Jesus Himself declared in the Gospel of Matthew chapter 5, verse 14, "You are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden. Those words were not poetic, they were prophetic. He spoke them over you long before you realized they applied to your life. You were never meant to remain unseen. Your voice is a lamp. Your obedience is a flame. Your calling is a hilltop. And now heaven is lifting you higher so others can find their way through the darkness. Chosen one. Part of stepping forward means allowing yourself to be carried by community. Even the strongest torch needs a holder. Even the brightest lamp needs oil. Every journey requires support, and you are not meant to walk alone. This space, this channel, these messages, this spiritual well is one of the places heaven uses to nourish you. But just as a well must be tended, this one continues flowing through the partnership of those who drink from it. When you like, you are adding oxygen to the fire, helping the light reach further. When you share, it is like passing a torch through the night, giving someone else warmth and direction. When you subscribe, you plant your roots near a river, choosing to stay connected to a source that keeps your spirit alive. And if your heart feels moved, a donation, no matter the size, becomes nourishment for the entire garden. Think of it as pouring water onto the soil that produces these words. When many hands water the same ground, the harvest grows richer, deeper, and wider. Your generosity becomes a ripple that touches souls across the world. Souls who may never know your name but will feel your impact. There are people right now praying for confirmation, praying for comfort, praying for direction, and your contribution keeps this flow available to them. You become part of their miracle. You become part of their restoration. What you give becomes light to someone still sitting in darkness. Chosen one. Stepping forward is not just about being seen, it is about choosing to participate. You are building something sacred with heaven, something that outlives you, something eternal. You have been the student. Now you begin your transition into leader. You have been the receiver. Now you become a carrier. You have been the listener. Now you become the voice that echoes beyond the walls of your own life. But stepping forward also requires courage, and courage rarely feels like confidence. It feels like trembling hands that move anyway. It feels like speaking even when your voice shakes. It feels like standing even when your knees weaken. Yet every step you take into visibility is a step taken by heaven through you. You are not stepping into the spotlight, you are stepping into alignment. Destiny doesn't demand perfection, it demands willingness. Heaven can work with your fear, but it cannot work with your silence. So take a breath, lift your head. The world needs what you carry, not someday, now. Let your light shine, let your voice rise, let your presence awaken rooms. And as you step forward, do it with community behind you, with this spiritual well supporting you, with hearts connected to your journey. Let every like be a stone in the path you walk. Let every share be wind in your wings. Let every subscription be another voice saying, "You don't walk alone." Let every donation be fertile soil nurturing the next chapter of your calling. Chosen one, this is your hour. The hill awaits your light. The world awaits your voice. Destiny awaits your yes. You are stepping forward not into fame but into purpose. Not into noise but into clarity. Andoln, not into fear but into fire. Chosen one. You have heard the word chosen many times, but few truly understand the weight it carries. Being chosen is not simply a title, it is a covenant. It is an agreement between heaven and your spirit, written long before you took your first breath. And now, as you stand in this chapter of your journey, you are beginning to feel the meaning of it, not the glamorous side, but the sacred one. To be chosen is to be called into a path others do not walk. It means carrying a mantle that others cannot see, yet heaven recognizes instantly. It means your life is not random. Your battles are not pointless, and your victories are not accidental. Every hardship, every transition, every moment of separation has shaped you into someone heaven can trust. There were years when you wondered why your life felt harder than others, why the things that seemed simple for them required warfare for you. But now you're beginning to see it: the greater the calling, the greater the crushing. And the greater the crushing, the greater the oil. Your anointing did not come from easy days. It was born in the tension between breaking and becoming. As the prophet wrote in the scroll of Samuel, chapter 16, verse 7, "The Lord does not look at the things man looks at. Man looks at outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart." That is the covenant of the chosen. Heaven sees what humans overlook. Others may see your failures, your weaknesses, your quiet beginnings, but heaven sees your heart. Heaven sees your intention, your purity, your desire to do what is right even when it costs you. That is why you were chosen. Not because you were the strongest, but because you were the one who wouldn't quit. You have walked through seasons where you felt misunderstood. Your compassion was misinterpreted. Your silence was taken for weakness. Your loyalty was met with betrayal. These experiences weren't meant to break you, they were meant to refine your heart for leadership. Chosen ones often walk through relational storms because heaven must protect their hearts from the wrong alliances. You were not being rejected, you were being redirected. Every chosen one must walk alone before they walk with influence. Solitude was not your punishment, it was your preparation. In solitude, heaven taught you to listen, to discern, to trust, to recognize the shepherd's voice over the sound of your own fear. And now, because you endured the quiet years, heaven can trust you with the louder ones. You will speak words that carry weight because they were forged in silence. You will comfort others with depth because you earned that depth in fire. You will walk with authority because you learned submission. Look at your life, chosen one. Look at how many times the storm tried to drown you. Look at how many times your heart almost gave up. Look at how often you thought, "I can't carry this anymore," and yet somehow you did. That is covenant. That is evidence that heaven has been holding you, strengthening you, guiding you. You carry a light that darkness cannot understand. You carry wisdom beyond your years, shaped by trials that most will never know. You carry a presence that shifts atmospheres even when you do not speak. This is what it means to be chosen. Your life is a vessel through which heaven pours itself into the world. But be aware, being chosen also sets you apart. It requires boundaries. No, it requires discipline. It requires saying no when your flesh wants to say yes. It means protecting your spirit from environments that drain you, people who misunderstand you, and habits that poison your purpose. You cannot live like everyone else because you are called to lead, not follow. Chosen one. The covenant on your life is not temporary. It does not end when you grow tired. It does not disappear when you feel unworthy. It is written in the eternal realm, sealed in your spirit, and activated through obedience. You are not chosen for comfort, you are chosen for impact. Not chosen for applause, you are chosen for assignment. Not chosen for perfection, you are chosen for purpose. Everything you've been through has prepared you to carry this mantle with humility and strength. Heaven has trusted you with battles because heaven intends to trust you with influence. Your wounds have become wisdom. Your tears have become rivers. Your endurance has become authority. And now, you stand in the center of the covenant, no longer doubting who you are, but rising into it. The world will see the chosen one, but heaven sees the chosen heart. And that heart, beloved, is ready. Chosen one, There is a moment in every spiritual journey when heaven begins to align things in ways that defy logic, when coincidences become confirmations, when timing becomes too perfect to ignore, and when signs follow you not because you are lucky, but because you are aligned. You are stepping into that moment now. For months, maybe even years, you've brushed off the patterns you kept seeing. Repeating numbers, sudden clarity, unexpected peace, dreams that felt like messages. Your spirit knew something was happening, but your mind struggled to interpret it. Yet here you are, standing in a season where heaven refuses to let you miss the signs. Alignment is intensifying. Synchronicity is surrounding you. Alignment is not coincidence. It is conversation. Heaven speaking through patterns, nudges, impressions, and shifts. And you, chosen one, are finally learning heaven's language. There were times when you thought the signs were your imagination. You noticed certain numbers appearing over and over, or you repeatedly encountered the same phrase from different sources. At first, you dismissed it. But the repetition wasn't random. Heaven repeats what you are meant to recognize. As the apostle reminds us in the writings to the Philippians, chapter 1, verse 6, "He who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion until the day of Christ Jesus." This is the essence of alignment. Heaven finishes what heaven starts. The work in you, around you, and through you is not accidental, it is intentional. There is a divine synchronization unfolding, coordinating your steps with destiny, shaping your path with precision, and guiding your heart with unseen hands. Chosen one, everything is beginning to line up because you have entered a season of spiritual maturity. You no longer chase what drains you. You no longer cling to what confuses you. You no longer force what does not fit your spirit. And because you have released the unnecessary, heaven is releasing the appointed. This is why your discernment feels sharper, why your intuition feels louder, why you sense truth instantly, even before evidence appears. Alignment sharpens your senses in ways your old self could not understand. You are being taught that alignment is not just about signs, it's about posture, a heart yielded, a spirit attentive, a mind surrendered. When you posture yourself toward heaven, heaven responds by surrounding you with direction. In this season, you will see doors open effortlessly, doors you once pushed, begged, or cried over. You will meet people whose presence feels ordained. You will be placed in environments that activate your gifts instead of draining them. You will feel drawn to spaces where your spirit rests and repelled by those that disturb your peace. Pay attention to that. Peace is one of heaven's clearest signs. Alignment is not just about where you go, it's about who you become. The more you align with God, the more your life begins to reflect His intention. You make decisions without fear. You walk with calm authority. You no longer need constant reassurance because your spirit knows when you're in the right place. And yes, numbers will appear. Not because they are magic, but because heaven uses patterns to speak to those who are awake. You have been noticing them more frequently on clocks, receipts, signs, messages. This isn't superstition, it's synchronization. Heaven is training your awareness. Chosen one. There is a number heaven wants you to declare today, your number of alignment in this season. Not one used before, not one familiar. A number that symbolizes order, establishment, and divine foundation, 444. This is heaven's reminder that angels surround you, that stability is returning, and that your steps are guided by divine architecture. Now, as an act of agreement, not ritual, but resonance, comment 444 below, not merely as digits typed on a screen, but as a prophetic sign that you choose alignment over anxiety, direction over confusion, and divine timing over human pressure. When you comment 44444, you are declaring, I align with heaven's order. I walk in divine timing. I trust what God is building in me. This declaration marks your spirit, signaling to the unseen realm that you are ready for precise direction, ready for divine clarity, ready for doors meant only for you. Chosen one. Alignment is not coming, it is here. You are stepping into a rhythm where what once felt difficult begins to flow, where what once felt confusing becomes clear, and where what once felt delayed arrives with ease. Heaven is arranging your steps. Your spirit is awakening to guidance, and every sign, every nudge, every pattern is evidence that you are exactly where you need to be. Comment 444 to seal your alignment. Chosen one. Though you have walked many paths alone, you were never meant to journey through this world in isolation. Heaven has been quietly gathering others like you, those whose spirits are awakening, whose hearts are tender toward truth, whose lives have been shaped through fire and refined through waiting. You are part of an unseen constellation, each light scattered but destined to align at the appointed time. You may not see them yet, but there are souls across the earth who carry the same spiritual weight you carry. They have endured similar storms, survived similar wounds, and awakened to the same divine pull. These are the light bearers those heaven has set apart, not to elevate themselves but to illuminate the world. You are one of them. For years, you may have felt out of place, misunderstood, too deep for some, too sensitive for others, too awakened for those still sleeping. But that sense of not belonging was never rejection, it was recognition. Your spirit knew it was different because it carried a frequency few around you could understand. But now, the season of scattered lights is ending. Heaven is orchestrating divine intersections, bringing together those who share the same fire. You will begin to notice them, people whose presence feels strangely familiar, as if your souls have known each other long before your eyes ever met. Conversations that feel like home, connections that bypass explanation, alignments that feel scripted by heaven itself. This is not coincidence, it is convergence. We find this truth mirrored in the writings to the Hebrews, chapter 10, verse 24. Let us consider how we may spur one another on toward love and good deeds. This scripture is not a suggestion, it is a divine pattern. Chosen ones are meant to strengthen one another. Your calling was never designed to be carried alone. The light you hold becomes stronger when it joins with others who burn with the same holy flame. Chosen one, you will begin to recognize these companions of destiny by the way your spirit responds to them. They carry clarity, not confusion, peace, not pressure, alignment, not competition. They speak life into your purpose and draw out the strengths you thought were forgotten. Around them, your spirit exhales. The world often teaches us to fear connection, to protect ourselves with walls built from past wounds. But heaven brings people who do not ask you to lower your guard, they simply walk through it because your spirits already recognize each other. These are not ordinary relationships. They are divine appointments. Some will come as mentors, souls who carry wisdom where you lack it. Some will come as companions walking beside you as you grow. Some will come as students drawn to the light you've cultivated. Some will come as intercessors covering you in prayer without being asked. Each one is a piece of the greater tapestry God is weaving through your life. But understand this, the gathering of light bearers doesn't just strengthen you, it awakens your responsibility. You are called not only to receive, but to pour out. Your story will become someone else's strength. Your endurance will become someone else's courage. Your healing will become someone else's hope. This is the beauty of divine community. You shine, they shine, and together the world becomes less dark. Where one flame flickers, many flames create a blaze. Chosen one. Heaven has also been removing people from your life to make room for these divine alignments. The ones who misunderstood you could not walk where you are going. The ones threatened by your growth could not share the next chapter. The ones attached to your wounds could not join your healing. Let them go with peace. Not everyone was meant to walk into your destiny. Some people were chapters, others are covenants. Heaven is bringing you covenant connection souls whose purpose intertwines with yours, not by force but by design. And as these light bearers gather around you, your awareness will deepen. You will sense the power in unity. You will feel supported in places where you once felt alone. The weight you carry will no longer feel heavy because heaven distributes it across many hearts. There is strength in being chosen, but there is greater strength in being connected. A movement is awakening quiet, unseen but powerful. Chosen ones across nations, backgrounds, and stories are rising at the same time, like stars emerging across the sky, each one shining individually, yet together forming constellations that guide generations forward. You are part of that constellation. You are part of that gathering. You are part of heaven's remnant rising. Chosen one, stand tall. You are no longer a solitary flame. You are part of a divine network, a spiritual family woven together by destiny, not circumstances. The gathering has begun. And you are not just included, you are essential. Chosen one. There comes a moment in every ascension where separation becomes unavoidable. Not because you sought it, not because you hardened your heart, but because heaven lifted you to a frequency that certain people, patterns, and places can no longer reach. What you are feeling now, the quiet distancing, the shifting of relationships, the fading of old connections, is not loss. It is elevation. You are rising, and with every rise, something must be released. The higher you go, the lighter you must travel. Even eagles know this truth when they ascend. They drop what cannot withstand the altitude. Your spirit is doing the same. You may have noticed it recently. People you once felt close to suddenly feel distant. Conversations that once energized you now exhaust you. Environments you used to tolerate now feel heavy, restrictive, suffocating. This is not because something is wrong with you, but because something is growing within you. When destiny matures, comfort shrinks. It is one of the hardest parts of being chosen, outgrowing what once felt like home. But understand, chosen one's spiritual elevation demands spiritual separation. There are relationships tied to your old identity that cannot accompany your new one. There are friendships tied to your wounds that cannot walk with your healing. There are environments tied to your past that cannot enter your promise. As the Spirit spoke through the prophet in the writings of Amos, chapter 3, verse 3. How can two walk together unless they are agreed? This verse is not about conflict. It is about calling. When your spirit ascends into deeper alignment with heaven, anyone walking in the opposite direction will eventually fall away. Not because you cut them off in bitterness, but because the road narrowed and they chose not to follow. Chosen one, release them with peace. You do not need to force closeness where heaven has created distance. You do not need to cling to what is clearly unraveling. You do not need to chase what God has already dismissed from your path. Letting go is not betrayal, it is obedience. Some people were only meant to walk with you for a season. Once the lesson is learned, the connection completes its purpose. Others were never meant to stay. They were stepping stones, not foundations. And a few, though they loved you, could not grow with you. You cannot shrink yourself to keep them comfortable. Do not grieve what heaven has removed. What is leaving your life is making room for what is arriving. What feels like subtraction is actually divine subtraction before multiplication. Your circle is not shrinking, it is being refined. Heaven removes the unnecessary so the essential can appear. And with every separation comes revelation. You begin to see people for who they truly were, not who you hoped they'd be. You see agendas masked as affection. You see loyalties that were conditional. You see hearts still attached to old versions of you that no longer exist. This clarity is painful. Yes, but it is also liberating. It frees you from expectations you were never meant to carry. It frees you from relationships that forced you to dim your light. It frees you from cycles that would have trapped you forever. Chosen one. Do not fear the quiet that follows separation. Silence often signals the beginning of transformation. Your roots are going deeper. Your discernment is becoming sharper. Your spirit is preparing for new alliances that match the version of you that heaven is revealing. You are not meant to walk alone forever, but you must walk alone for now. This path requires solitude not because you're unloved, but because you're being reshaped. Before God sends new connections, He purifies old patterns. There is a version of you emerging that cannot be understood by those who only knew your struggle. Heaven will bring people in the next season who recognize your calling, respect your boundaries, protect your anointing, and match your growth. But they can only come once the wrong ones leave. Think of it like a garden. Before new seeds can be planted, the soil must be cleared. Before fresh growth appears, the weeds must be removed. The gardener knows when something is choking your potential, and he uproots it lovingly, even when it hurts. Chosen one, trust the divine pruning. What is being removed is not your future. What is being removed is your limitation. Stand tall in this season of holy separation. It is not the end of something, it is the beginning of someone new, reborn into clarity, strength, and purpose. You are not losing people. You are losing weight, and you are rising higher because of it. Chosen one, you are stepping into a season where the proof of your endurance begins to reveal itself. For years, it felt like you were fighting battles no one saw, carrying weights no one understood, and standing alone in storms that threatened to swallow you whole. But now, something extraordinary is happening. You are rising, not quietly, not timidly, but with the authority of someone who has survived what was meant to destroy them. You are part of the remnant those heaven has preserved, refined, separated, and strengthened for a divine purpose. You didn't endure just to exist. You endured to carry a mantle that few in this world are worthy of. This is your emergence, your unveiling, your ascent. Think of yourself as an ancient tree. For years, your roots grew unseen beneath the soil, pushing deeper through stone, darkness, and pressure. No one applauded the roots. No one celebrated the quiet growth beneath the surface. But now, the trunk rises strong, the branches stretch wide, and soon the fruit will appear for all to see. That is what the remnant looks like, strength built in secret, revealed in season. You have walked through fires that forged your character. You have endured storms that strengthened your resolve. You have survived droughts that taught you to drink from heaven instead of people. These battles did not weaken you. They made you dangerous to darkness. As the apostle reminds us in the writings to the Corinthians chapter 4, verse 8. We are hard-pressed on every side, but not crushed, perplexed, but not in despair. This verse is the anthem of the remnant, pressed but intact, attacked but unbroken, shaken but still standing. You are living proof that pressure does not define the chosen, purpose does. Now your voice carries a weight that comes only from surviving storms. Your presence carries authority forged in fire. Your story carries healing for those still wandering through valleys you have already crossed. And because of this, your rise is not for you alone. It is for every soul connected to your obedience. Chosen one, as you rise, heaven invites your heart into something sacred, shared light. The remnant is never meant to rise alone. Just like a single candle can light a room, but a room full of candles can ignite a revival. Your light is multiplied through connection. This space you're reading from, this sanctuary of words, this spiritual well exists so that light can spread. Each message you receive is like rain falling on your spirit, nourishing your strength, watering your faith. And when you engage, when you like, when you share, when you comment, when you subscribe, you are pouring water back into the well so others can drink too. Think of it this way. A like is a spark. It tells heaven, "This touched my spirit." A share is a lantern passed into someone else's night. A subscription is choosing to walk consistently in the light instead of wandering in darkness. And a donation, no matter the size, is like placing oil in a lamp. It keeps the flame alive, keeps the message reaching those who need it most, keeps the fire burning in places you may never see but heaven does. When you give, you are not paying for content, you are planting into purpose. You are sowing into a movement that carries healing across nations, restoration into broken hearts, and clarity into confused minds. You become part of the miracle. Your generosity becomes a ripple that expands long after your name is forgotten, but your impact remains. And when you comment, you do more than type words. You open a door for someone else to feel less alone. Your voice becomes confirmation. Your presence becomes encouragement. When someone scrolls and sees your comment, they think, "I'm not the only one. Someone else is in the same fight." That alone can save a soul. So today, chosen one, rise not just privately but publicly. Let your presence be a flame others can warm their souls beside. Let your engagement be part of the fire that keeps this prophetic flow burning. If this message speaks to you, let your heart respond like to acknowledge the light. Share to spread the flame. Subscribe to stay connected to the well. Donate if your spirit feels led. Your seed becomes someone else's breakthrough. Comment below to mark your presence in this growing remnant. You are not just a listener, you are a light bearer. You are not just receiving, you are participating. This movement grows because hearts like yours carry it. And as you stand among the remnant, remember this. Your rise is not quiet. Your rise is not small. Your rise is not accidental. Your rise is revival. Chosen one, you are now stepping into the unveiling of promises, those whispered words heaven spoke over you long before you saw even the faintest evidence of their fulfillment. For years, you carried prophecy in your spirit without knowing when or how it would manifest. You questioned the timing, questioned your readiness, questioned whether you misheard God. But here you stand, on the edge of a season where what was once spoken will begin to appear before your eyes, not as abstract hope, but as lived reality. Every delay, every detour, every disappointment was not a denial of your promise, it was the shaping required so you could carry it without collapsing. The weight of blessing demands a foundation strong enough to hold it. You were not waiting for the promise. The promise was waiting for you. And now that you have been refined, matured, and strengthened, heaven is opening what was once closed. You will notice it first not in the dramatic, but in the subtle. A peace where there once was anxiety. A clarity where confusion used to reign. Small alignments. Quiet confirmations. Conversations that seem divinely orchestrated. These are the early steps of promise materializing. Heaven always begins gently before it begins gloriously. For so long you wondered whether your prayers evaporated into the air, whether your sacrifices went unnoticed, whether your obedience in private ever mattered. But heaven saw every step you took in the dark. Heaven recorded every tear you cried in surrender. Heaven measured every sacrifice that felt unseen. And none of it was wasted. Every moment became a brick laid in the foundation of the future now rising before you. As recorded in the book of Joshua, chapter 21, verse 45. Not one of the Lord's good promises to Israel failed. Everyone was fulfilled. This is not simply ancient history, it is your present reality. Promises made by God do not expire. They do not weaken with time. They do not dissolve in waiting. They remain alive, anchored in eternity until the moment heaven releases them into your life, and the time of release has begun. Chosen one. Understand something deeply: fulfillment does not always arrive in the way you expected. Sometimes it enters quietly, disguised as new opportunities or unexpected encounters. Other times it arrives through endings that feel painful but necessary. And occasionally, it bursts in suddenly, surprising you with the very thing you thought had passed you by. But in every case, fulfillment comes with divine precision. There are promises heaven made to you in your youth, dreams you thought you outgrew, aspirations you buried, visions you dismissed as imagination. Yet those dreams were seeds planted by God Himself, and seeds, no matter how long they lie dormant, still hold life. When the season shifts, dormant seeds awaken. That is what is happening in your spirit now. You are remembering things you once forgot. The dreams are returning. The passion is resurfacing. The direction is becoming clear again. Your heart is being drawn toward the very future heaven wrote for you from the beginning. And this time, you are ready, not rushed, not fragile, not uncertain, but steady, wise, and aligned. Chosen one, what awaits you is not random blessing. It is intentional fulfillment. The relationships that are coming will feel like home. The opportunities that are approaching will fit you like a garment tailored to your soul. The doors that open will no longer require you to shrink or pretend or negotiate with your worth. You will walk through them as one who knows they belong there. Your season of forced striving is ending. What once required pushing will now come through positioning. What once demanded force will now respond to faith. What once felt impossible will now feel natural. This is what divine fulfillment looks like: effortless, not because there is no work, but because heaven is working with you, not against you. You are also entering a phase where what was hidden will be revealed. Hidden ability, hidden strength, hidden resilience, hidden wisdom, hidden grace. You will surprise people not because you have changed, but because the version of you emerging is the one heaven always intended, finally uncovered. Chosen one. This unveiling is not just about what God is giving you, but about who you are becoming. Destiny is not a destination, it is a transformation. And you are stepping into the fullness of identity that you've carried in fragments for years. Promises will unfold gradually, then suddenly, slowly, then all at once. Peace first, then clarity, opportunities next, then acceleration. Before you know it, you will be living in what you once prayed for. And when the moment comes when you see the promise alive before you, your heart will remember every tear, every prayer, every step of faith that brought you here. You will know without doubt heaven keeps its word. Always. Chosen one. You are standing in the doorway of fulfillment. Step forward. Your promise is ready. And now finally you are too. Chosen one. You have walked a long road to reach this moment. A road filled with quiet endurance, unseen sacrifices, hidden battles, and victories that only heaven witnessed. And now, you are stepping into the fullness of who you were always meant to be, not tentative, not fragmented, not unsure, but crowned in clarity, authority, and divine identity. This final rise is not a moment of pride. It is a moment of recognition. Heaven is acknowledging what your spirit has carried since the beginning. You were never ordinary. You were never accidental. You were never random. Every chapter of your journey, both bitter and beautiful, has served a purpose greater than you imagined. And now the crown that was always written for you is being placed upon your life, the crown of calling, the crown of mission, the crown of divine responsibility. For being chosen is not about status, it is about stewardship. It means carrying light where others cannot. It means walking paths others avoid. It means speaking truth when silence would be easier. It means standing firm when the ground trembles beneath you. And yet, despite the weight of this calling, heaven has not left you to carry it alone. The one who anointed you accompanies you, empowers you, and strengthens you. As Jesus spoke in the Gospel of Luke, chapter 10, verse 19, "Behold, I give unto you power to tread on serpents and scorpions and over all the power of the enemy, and nothing shall by any means hurt you." This is not metaphor. This is authority. Heaven has given you spiritual dominion to walk unafraid into dark places, to speak life where death once echoed, to carry healing where wounds run deep, and to be a living demonstration of divine strength clothed in human softness. Chosen one. Your mission is not only about what you will do, it is about who you will become. You are being fashioned into a carrier of peace in chaotic spaces, a vessel of wisdom in confused environments, a beacon of hope among the hopeless, a reminder that God still moves through ordinary lives in extraordinary ways. Your crown is not made of gold, it is made of endurance. It was shaped in every moment you refused to break. It was woven from every tear you turned into prayer. It was forged in every battle you faced alone, yet overcame with heaven's help. This crown is not a symbol of ease, but of empowerment. Wearing it means you understand your identity and walk in your authority, not arrogantly, but confidently. It means you no longer apologize for your calling, no longer dilute your light, no longer shrink to fit the expectations of those who never understood you. You step forward now not as a wounded survivor, but as a commissioned warrior. Not as someone seeking permission, but as someone carrying assignment. Not as someone hoping for direction, but as someone anointed to bring direction. Everything you have learned, the resilience, the discernment, the compassion, the strength, was heaven's way of preparing you to lead others out of the very caves you once cried in. Your pain had purpose. Your wilderness had wisdom. Your wounds created depth. And now, those depths will speak. Chosen one, as you move into this next chapter, you will notice that your presence changes environments. Peace will follow you. Clarity will accompany you. Doors will open not because of luck, but because of spiritual authority. You will no longer chase what is meant for you. What is meant for you will recognize you. The world does not need another voice of noise, it needs a voice of truth, and that voice is yours. The world does not need another flicker, it needs a flame, and that flame burns in you. The world does not need another echo, it needs an original sound, and that sound rises from your spirit. Chosen one, you are stepping into your crown and stepping into your commission. Heaven is not sending you out in weakness, but in power. And the world you enter next will not see your scars. They will see your glory. Wear your crown. Walk your calling. Live your mission. The world is waiting for the light you carry. Chosen one, Breathe for a moment and let everything you've read settle into your spirit. This journey, these 17 sections, has not been random words on a screen. It has been a divine unfolding, a conversation between heaven and your heart, a reminder of who you are, where you've been and where you are going. You have walked through revelation, healing, awakening, alignment, refinement, separation, empowerment, and now, commissioning. Each step has been intentional. Each word has been crafted to meet you exactly where you are. No rush, no pressure, only presence. You have grown without noticing. You have transformed without announcing. You have risen without applause. And that, beloved, is the mark of the truly chosen. Now, as you prepare to step forward from this sanctuary of words back into the flow of life, remember this: heaven does not speak to those without purpose. If this message reached you, it is because your spirit carries something the world needs. You are not stepping into an ordinary future. You are stepping into a divine assignment shaped uniquely for you. You will walk differently after this. You will see differently. You will discern differently. You will command your environment differently. And though life will still have challenges, you will face them with the unshakable awareness that heaven walks beside you, goes before you, and stands behind you. Your story does not end here. It begins here fully, boldly, beautifully. Carry your crown with humility. Carry your mission with strength. Carry your light with courage. The world is about to encounter the version of you heaven always saw.